has been brought home to us on OpenLearn because we can see what brings people into our site, and as well as sort of broad reasons people come to OpenLearn to look for free courses, which is one of our highest searches. Very high up in the search, we get very specific things like eutrophication, which I didn't know what it was, but it's to do with algae in water, and it's not that everybody in the world is searching for eutrophication. It's more that if you search for eutrophication, there's not very many options to find a good site that explains it. So having a specialist site that's out there and open brings people together. But alongside that then is the social support, and it's getting these two right to bring people through a sort of process of participation, to see various modes of participation going on between users, whether they sort of browse or whether they take part. And it's been stated often that sort of there's a very small percentage of people who are actual editors, and there's Terry used this example yesterday of people who read Wikipedia versus those who edit Wikipedia. But actually, on most social sites, there's more of a switching between modes in which people take part rather than people being of a particular level. And perhaps it's too simple to see this as a people thing more as a behavior thing. We're certainly working with other areas of the world as well and looking at cultural transfer. The talk I gave earlier today to the JISC project was to do with whether open education resources is cultural colonization. And again, there's a CloudWorks site you can go to see a different talk, although with a little bit of overlap between slides. And we've been looking at this issue of whether content travels and the message that we're giving out through talking about open educational resources. Because actually, if you study what we're saying as organizations involved in this, there's a strange sort of tension between trying to help the world and trying to help our organization. A lot of people have latched on to a result from our own work, which shows that we have actually attracted thousands of students to the Open University through the OpenLearn Open Education Resource site. And so obviously we want that to happen, but I think you've got to be careful not to set out to see this as a recruitment model. It is about being more open to what can happen than that. Otherwise, restrictions start to creep back in. We found that the openness brings collaborations, and we've been able to use tools that are also freely available. So Open Education Resources includes tools. We've got a free Flash meeting system to have free video conferencing, and we use that for our own projects. We've got work going on which has led not, I realize I talk a bit too much about the Open University, but our partner, Carnegie Mellon University, is working actually with people in Toronto University on the knowledge forum system, Moline Scardimedia, and the work she's done about how students can operate to understand things inside forums. How can we apply that to a very open system and understand what's going on there? Okay, so that's sort of a very quick run through work that's going on. We've got about 10 people working on the project here in the OU, and then there's the team at Carnegie Mellon University as well. I suppose just to sort of wind down, just do visit us at allnet.org. We've got a site there that we're working on at the moment. Oops, sorry. We've got the CloudWorks site. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong button just for a second as well. So there's a slightly later picture that I took where you can see the discussion taking part on top of the various topics we've got going. Please do explore CloudWorks. Please do explore allnet.org. Do think about whether you've got stories that you would like to share through us, whether you've got you'd like to work with us as researchers, whether you'd like to work with us as fellows. The model we've got in AllNet is evolving as, again, sort of we're not being a one-stop shop. We're trying to make use of all the Web 2 tools. So we're doing a bit of research 2.0 as we're studying the world of open educational resources as they're emerging. So that brings me to the end of my slides. So I'd like to hand over again to Mike. I noticed there were a few questions going past in the, or a few comments going past in the chat as well. But please do ask a question to me. I think we've got another 15 minutes or so. Over to you.
Tony, you can go ahead and grab the mic.
Hi Patrick, it's Tony here. We really enjoy your presentation. So I have a question for you. In your presentation, you mentioned about like cultural, disclosure. So from where I come from, I was brought up in a Chinese family. Traditionally, the Chinese parent expect the kid to be really excel. The teacher always expect the kid work so hard. All focus is on the outcome. Not a whole lot is on learning the process. So how we as an educator can address the issue can we teach both process and outcome at the same time?
Well, I think that what we did was try and make it very clear the outcomes that could be expected from our carefully crafted learning experiences. And then we observe people coming in from all sorts of directions and missing out the bit where we explain how carefully we've prepared those outcomes. So we've got an open process going on, which is perhaps more flexible than would be implied by saying, can we sort of actually teach process and outcome? We've got to appreciate the process that people are going through in the open world and the different ways in which we can steer. And there's a sort of disaggregation, I suppose, going on that we can offer. And I believe Athabasca has led with this, sort of offering some accreditation to people who might have found already the resources out there in the world. So I'm not quite sure whether I'm really answering your question, but more pointing out that the Open Education Resources is giving people a different option, and there's more variation perhaps in how people are using the material to learn or to teach than the original designers might have expected. Do come back and let me know whether I've touched on the right sort of zone or not. Thanks, Tony. So you do feel that's oh, and thanks also for the details of the prior learning assessment program. I wasn't sure whether I was saying something that was a hoped for implementation or a system that's actually in place. Any more questions?
Yeah, Patrick, I really appreciated the listing and got a bit depressed looking at all of the traps that you mentioned earlier. I wonder if you've prioritized the OLNet program to try to focus on any one of those, or which you see are most amenable to removing that trap through the research that either you're conducting or what you think is most amenable to reduction by anyone's research.
Yes, but I suppose we're trying to map the area, so we're not trying to ignore particular aspects, but we have picked out some priorities. So one of them is to look at this. I suppose it's the one I call the Holy Grail trap, really, that people keep trying to look for reuse and take up. And so in terms of looking at how you can match what happens by releasing your content to helping people understand the ways in which it can be used, the design work and the patterns work. So I think that has shown some fruit.